Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pants R Dragon, and today we'll be doing a patch 5.11 rundown of the changes, giving you my insight on things, what I think is going to happen, what champions may be good again, or bad, or whatever like that, and just giving you my insight on things. Alright, so first up we're going to be talking about Aatrox, and as you can see, the cooldown on his passive is going down at later levels, so that's a mid-game, late game kind of buff, like for certain scenarios where people have to wait on him for his passive to come back up before team fighting. But honestly, his late game is pretty bad because he uses hit point for his abilities, and his damage actually just falls off, so I don't think he's that great. Like he's like mediocre, but he's not like super overwhelming good, so this doesn't mean really anything. Alright, so next up is going to be Ashe, and one of the best AD carries right now, so she's actually going to get toned down just a bit. In my opinion, she's still probably going to be number 1. So let's see here. She can no longer proc her Q on turrets. That's fine because she was wrecking turrets when she procced that Q, and if she was alone with them, yeah, they'd go down pretty fast. Volley, the damage on this is going down by 20 at level 1, but it's the same at level 5. People were maxing out W first, and then they'd max out Q second, so make note of that. And then E, you see the vision radius while traveling is lowered, so it's going to be more of a clairvoyance, trying to spot out your jungler instead of throwing it out. Maybe you'll find someone along the way when you throw it out super far, and yeah, just the tone down, still probably going to be number 1. And right here, Brand's R just gets a situational buff where, if say Fizz went on his E and his R was chasing that Fizz, it wouldn't go to him and fizzle out on the spot. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Caitlyn, and right here she's actually getting an interesting buff on her passive. As you can see, her headshot now ignores 50% of the target's bonus armor. That says bonus armor, so that means when you buy cloth armor or chain vest, that's the only thing you'll be ignoring, or runes and masteries like that. So in laning phase, say you're facing an AD carry, the only bonus armor you're going to shred is that 9 armor coming from runes, and yeah, you're going to only probably do like 5 or 10 more damage. Against supports though, who usually take 21 armor and runes, it'll help a bit against them. So it is a mid game and late game buff just for shredding the armor of tanks and stuff, so you can get past them. But honestly, right now I just don't think Caitlyn is that great in the meta. You need like Ashe utility, like a lot of these hyper carries to shred these tanks. She is only good in early game. Her mid game isn't that great, and then she's decent late game because she has long range, but no steroids, not a lot of steroids, of course. And finally, she gets a standardized 1.1 seconds, blah blah blah. And finally, her R, it gives vision at the start of cast instead of the start of channel. So that means if the enemy goes out of your range, you won't cancel your R because you can't see them anymore. So that's a good thing. But honestly, I just can't see her coming back into the meta as one of the top 5 best AD carries with just this buff. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Echo, and right here the movement speed is going down by 5 while his mana cost on his W is going up by 20. And what does this all mean? Well, honestly, I don't think this movement speed was needed because I think he's like a balanced champion right now, or people are trying to figure him out at the moment, so yeah. And this mana cost I think it should be needed because every time he can just throw his W for the cost of 30 mana and trade with the enemy in laning phase, and the enemy can't really do anything because he's going to be stunned, or Echo's going to have a huge ass shield. But at the moment, I think Echo is balanced, or people will have to figure him out still. But yeah, so that's my opinion of him. I don't think he's top 5. He's definitely banned in a lot of solo queue games, but I think people are just annoyed when he snowballs, and that's about it. Alright, so next up is going to be Hecarim, and right here is actually receiving 2 nerfs. As you can see, the update cycle on his passive is being lowered to 0.25 seconds, and usually when he's home guard and teleporting, he's actually losing movement speed as he keeps charging, so that's why this is a nerf, which means he will get less AD on his impact when he's hitting the enemy. And right here, instead of being multiplicatively with other movement speed bonuses on his E, it's now additively, so that's a bit less movement speed when he's charging in with his home guard teleport, so he's not too insane when initiating. Nevertheless, this is a situational case nerf where he has to use home guard and teleport for these nerfs to kick in, right? So that's about it. I still think he's going to be a strong top laner. He's actually a decent jungler right now, but yeah, I think he's going to drop a bit in the top lane tier list for sure, though. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Jace, and right here he's actually getting a pretty interesting change. All of his skills are now rankable to level 6, and you no longer have to upgrade his ultimate. So yeah, now you have 6 points for Q, W, and E. And let's see what actually changed. So first off, his Q actually gets a pretty good buff. Level 1, his Q with Hammer Stance does 30 damage instead of 20, and later levels it does 230 instead of 200, and you also get 5% more slow, and it's now 2 seconds less than it was before. So 6 versus 8. On the Shock Blast, it was 280 at max level, but now it's 320, which is really good because combined with his Acceleration Gate, you will be doing a lot of damage with that Q. At level 10 maybe? I think it's 11 or 10, I'm not sure, when you'll get that. And of course it is increased by 10 damage at level 1 too, so that's pretty good. Lightning Field, they increased the damage by 20 at, yeah, Lightning Field, I don't know why they did this. This is a pretty useless skill, but right here it's exactly the same on his other W. His E is exactly the same. The only difference I see is the cooldown, instead of it being 14, it's actually increased to 15, and this is a skill you leave at level 1 until you max out Q and W. So yeah, and right here you get 5% more movement speed on the E, will be at level 18. And yeah, he's actually a pretty, I do like him. He's got pretty good poke. He's like a AD carry sort of. I just feel like there's better champions than him right now, but maybe with the Q buff, increased by 40 damage, and of course this is actually more when combined with Acceleration Gate, you might probably see him back in. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Katarina, and as you can see here, the base damage is lowered by 20. This is a skill you leave at level 1, so it's going to be 40 instead of 60, and AP ratio is lowered by 0.15, and you'll see later in this patch that Luden's Echo is actually getting nerfed, so it's actually a pretty decent hit to Katarina in my opinion. So she's actually a pretty good solo queue destroyer. If you play her in the mid lane, you can win team fights easily and roam and stuff, so it hurts her a bit. I still think she's going to be viable for solo queue, but I feel like she won't be picked as much in solo queue. Alright, so next up is going to be Kha'Zix. As you can see, the isolation radius is going down to 425, but honestly it is the tank meta, and I feel like he's not that strong in here. The only thing he can assassinate are squishies and stuff, so I don't know, it's pretty hard for him. I know there's a player named Diamond 1 Kha'Zix. He mains Kha'Zix, has gotten high ranks in Challenger, but for the average player, I just don't think this will help him too much. I think he needs more help, and yeah, he just needs more help. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about LeBlanc, and right here her W and E are actually getting nerfed. The missile width is going down to 55, which means less consistency on landing those chains and high priority targets and killing them, while the missile speed on her W is being lowered, which means more outplay ability, which means you can flash and react faster, or say if you're Alistar and you see her Wing, you can headbutt her so it doesn't do any damage, or I think maybe Jace can actually E her out of it now, because if you do interrupt her while she's casting it, it won't do any damage. So yeah, there's just more room to penalize her and stuff. Will it hurt her as being a top 5 mid laner? Of course it will. I'm not sure how big of a big deal this will be, but definitely it's going to hurt her. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Malphite, and he's actually getting a change to his W. So right here there's no more cleave on his basic attacks. Instead, he's just going to gain a percentage additional armor of what he has already. So you're looking at 10% for the longest time until late game. And it used to be, where is it? It used to be he gains 20% at level 1 when you activate it, so that's, it's now his passive, so whatever. But now his basic attacks deal an additional 25 damage since you're leaving it at level 1 for a majority time. Physical damage to the target and nearby units, and I did the math, and basically he has about 64 damage at level 2 as attack damage. So when I did the math, it looks like he was doing 12 more damage on his physical attacks, but with this change it's now doing 25, so definitely he's going to trade more in lane and slap you more and have better trading potential for sure. And now the question you're probably asking is, will he be viable in Challenger and LCS? Well, I mean, Calitrolls did play him a bit, but now he's going to increase the laning phase, he's better in the laning phase, so I can see him being played, especially against full AD comps or a lot of physical damage compositions, so yeah, I'd probably pick him in that situation. Orianna gets a little small change, but right here Ryze gets a bug fix, and honestly in my last patch notes I did not know that he was going to be super godlike, where you can perma root someone for when he gets his passive up. So that was my bad. He's actually really good. And yeah, I didn't know people were maxing out W. I thought people were still going to max out Q for some reason. So that was my bad. And play him a lot in this patch because he's super strong. Alright, next up is going to be Sejuani's W, and it actually got a nerf. So as you can see, instead of 10%, it's going to be 6%, which is going to hurt for clears, ganks, and team fights, of course. And team fights, I think you get it like twice. So you're losing like, what, 8% damage, which is a big deal. So after this nerf, I feel like she's gonna drop in the tier list for sure. Maybe not even top 5, maybe a bit lower, but I don't know. It's just this nerf seems like a bit much. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Shen. As you can see, he's getting some free magic resist on his stats, and the cooldown on his passive is going down at later levels, while the energy cost on his E is going down to like 80 when you level it up. So I think people are maxing out Shadow Dash second instead of W second. So this is like actually pretty good. But anyways, Shen in the metagame right now, he's not so great because after he uses his ultimate E, he's kind of useless. Like, he doesn't have a lot of damage. Sunfire makes up most of his damage, but other like tanks like Sion, Maokai, Malphite, they all have other sources of damage, right? He doesn't bring a lot of damage, he just stands there and waits for his next Shadow Dash, which kind of sucks, and that's why he's not that great. Doesn't have a lot of damage, and like, he's decently tanky, but the only thing he's useful for is his Shadow Dashing, I guess, helping his allies restore with Q, and that's not that great. It helps him though. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Shyvana, and right here she now does 25% of Burnout's AoE damage on her basic attacks for the duration. 25% isn't a lot, because if we look at it, well, let's look at this damage. 80 damage right here, and what's 25% of that? That's 20. And then let's say you use your Q after, then that's 3 basic attacks at 75%. But if you look at this maximum magic damage right here, this is actually 700% of this. So I mean, it increases your damage just a tiny bit, but it's not that much. Plus, this is a level 5 burnout. At level 1, like, if you auto attack someone in your burnout, that's 5 more damage, so it's not that great. I guess it helps her in the jungle, so I don't know, it's not that impactful in my opinion. Alright, next up we're going to be talking about Sivir, and right here, her R is actually getting a nerf. The movement speed duration at level 11 is going to be reduced by 1, and then at level 16 it's reduced by 2. And remember, this is the initial movement speed where she gives a burst of speed, which is like 60%, but after she still gives 20%. So I mean, it'll hurt her a bit, but like, it's not that big of a deal. I think she's still going to be good. She still has like giving movement speed to her team and utility, and she's really hard to kill late game if she's super fed. So yeah, I don't feel like this hurts her too much. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Luden's Echo, and right here, when you cast a spell, charging it will charge it for only 10 instead of 20, and the ability power ratio is going down by 0.5. And what does this mean? Well, Katarina, you know, you won't be casting it 2 times in a team fight, you won't be getting that passive proc, so it's going to be harder for you. And for other champions, I feel like it's still really good on Azir and like all these mages who can poke the enemy. So yeah, it still has this base damage of 100, and when you get that early game, it hurts a lot when it procs on you. So yeah, it still gives 120 ability power and 7% movement speed. So it's still a pretty good item. I think this nerf was definitely well deserved. And yeah, that's about it for patch 5.11 rundown. I won't be going over these changes because, you know, it's other things I don't really care about. And yeah, I am Panzer Dragon, and I will see you guys next time.